And we are live. Hello, everyone. It says Big Talk, caffeinated and opinionated. And while we are caffeinated and always opinionated, you're now on the Tangentlemen.
The
Drinking
Tangentlemen.
and thinking.
Drinking and thinking.
Our second series, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we've...
boozier second series.
Yeah, the After Dark second series. So
yeah,
you've got Lee here, obviously. You've got Matt here. But this is the first time we're doing something new.
Yes. Well, something new-ish. We have a...
Oh, yeah,
we've done this before.
We've done it one time before.
We've had a chum with us before.
But we've got a guest on, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Carl, our long-time friend who you've heard us talk about pretty much every episode, really.
Yeah.
Carl generally comes up.
He does, yeah. We talk about how much we love him.
Yeah.
Hello, Carl.
Yeah.
Hello all. How you going?
But yeah, so this is Tangentlemen, Drinking and Thinking. We are here with a guest now. Carl, do you want to say anything about yourself, or we can just sort of jump into it if you want?
Just jump into it.
Okay. Carl is going to be a man of mystery,
Mm-hmm.
and here we are. So, Matt, you've come with a question today.
I have. Well, first of all, let's toast.
Oh, yes, of course. Now, today we're drinking something very, very special. I told him what we were drinking last time, so that's what we've got to do, right? So, I mean, this is... So, Carl, as you... Any long-time listeners know, it's a bit of a whiskey snob. We've said that a couple of times. What are we drinking today, Carl? This is yours.
So this is a gift from my wife, and it is Dalmore King Alexander III.
Now, this is expensive shit, ladies and gentlemen, and it ruins you for other whiskies.
Yep.
So the first and only time that I've drunk this was the night before Carl's wedding, and we had a small amount to toast his sanity or insanity, whichever one you want. It's probably Nick's insanity and Carl's sanity.
Yeah, that's probably
I
fair.
think. And it was delicious. And then we went on to the other whiskies because, trying to just have a nice night just before you get married. Everything else tastes like piss.
Yep. Yeah, it ruined it all for like the whole night.
And we are, of course, drinking this whiskey first. So the rest of the whiskey for the night is
terrible.
Tastes like piss.
So cheers to your health, Carl and Matt.
Cheers.
And let's have the first sip. Oh.
Indeed. I mean, it's just glorious.
Delicious. So nice.
It's like drinking Jesus. It's
honestly,
beautiful.
if you ever get a chance and you're a whiskey fan, Dalmore King Alexander III, fantastic.
I'd forgotten how good that is.
It's like
Oh my God.
it's got no bite.
There's no bite. There's no burn.
Fantastic flavour.
It's sweetness up front and then just heaven on the way down.
Oh. Anyway, what are we doing?
Well,
we're doing a podcast. That's what we're
doing a podcast because we could talk about this whiskey forever.
I certainly could.
And Carl can and will if you come to it. But what we'll say. So this is going to be probably our most topical show
that we've done in a while.
Ever.
Well, I mean, we did that whole thing with Game of Thrones, didn't we? And we were pretty on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they came out.
Oh yeah, we were
later
way
on.
We were way behind. So this will actually come out a day after it's been aired.
Yes.
So
yes,
this is going to be the most recent one.
Yes.
We've caught up finally.
Yeah, we've caught up to time.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is November the 11th.
Remembrance Sunday.
Which is Remembrance Sunday. Now, Remembrance Sunday is something that it's a controversial thing, it seems.
I think so, yeah. Every year you see that coffees have been banned, which they haven't. And this has been banned and it hasn't.
People on Facebook are mad that people have poppies.
Yeah.
Or don't have poppies.
So, and it seems like the point of it, in my opinion, in my caffeinated and opinionated opinion,
and drinking and thinking
opinion, is that we've sort of lost the point of it.
Okay.
And I think these things nowadays are up for interpretation. So I've got sort of a three-tiered question.
Okay.
What is the point of Remembrance Day? Is the first bit. Why do people get so mad about it and mad about people getting mad about it? So let's start with the first bit.
What is it? Well, I mean, I may be old-fashioned here, but I think the point of Remembrance Sunday is to remember everyone that lost their lives, right? In the Great War.
Yep.
World War II.
No, World War I.
World War One. Okay.
Well, I mean both.
Well, yeah, started in World War One, and then obviously as World War Two happened, we probably incorporated that afterwards as well.
Yeah. I mean, that seems obvious to me.
Do you reckon it's getting hijacked then?
It's getting hijacked by. I don't think it's getting purposely hijacked. I think it's like people look at it as like this weird colonial patriotic nonsense. It's like, oh, we're thinking about all of the, all white men that died in war.
Oh, so we've got this this revisionist attitude.
Yeah, it's like,
okay.
It's like, oh, we're talking about our British colonial past. It's like, oh, we're patriotic and over celebrating and all that. It's just like, and it's glorifying war is the big one.
Right.
That's the one that's the most mainstream. That's what all my weird rambling there was getting up to because I forgot what it was. It's like glorifying war is what it is said to be doing.
But I mean, in that vein, Hollywood's been doing that since Hollywood started.
Yeah.
Hollywood glorifies that with every action film. We've got a new Call of Duty just came out.
Yeah, we've also got Midway coming out soon as well.
Yeah.
True.
And Medal of Honor, that was World War One. So I mean, not to say that, well, just because this does it, then it doesn't matter. It just seems like a silly thing to pick on. I guess maybe they're not real, and Remembrance Sunday remembers something that is real.
True, I suppose.
But I mean, anything revisionist, I fucking loathe.
Yeah.
Take this person down because they used to be a slave trader. All right, yeah, they used to be a slave trader, but maybe they did other things. And, just it's there. It was part of the history. You don't change it around.
I think part of the problem we get a lot these days is you get people who don't like part of history and decide that, oh, we'll just make a big issue that, well, history happened. You need to learn from that past to stop it happening again. Yeah. Just attacking someone who is no longer here because they did something other than what they're known for. I mean, like Americans like to bring up all the time is Washington. He was also a slave owner. Yes, he was. It doesn't change who he was. You might not agree with the slaves part of it, but he still did a lot of things for America that are, for them, positives.
I mean, and then at that time, it's not like owning slaves was weird.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I think you see it a lot, even with sort of shorter term history. I mean, look at, it's going to be a weird tangent, but look at when Friends came back on Netflix.
Oh yeah,
millennials hated it because of how misogynistic it was, and all these sort of things, of how horrible Ross is a person. Like, yes, but look at it in the context of the time it came from.
Is Ross a horrible person?
They're all horrible.
They're all horrible people. Really, if you watch it again now. I mean, none of them come out of it in the show. Right, to be honest.
I mean, of all the people though, this is our first tangent. Of all the people to get mad at in Friends, Ross is like the bottom of the list.
I think a lot of it comes from the fact that he is essentially homophobic because he's one of his, I think, divorcee ends up becoming a lesbian. So he hates lesbians on the basis that his wife is now one.
But he doesn't hate lesbians.
Well, that's the perception people have of it. Is that
that's stupid.
No, yeah, it is. But that's what
these are people that don't watch the show.
Yeah, basically, I mean, they hear ironically tangents of it and they pick up what they want to pick up.
It's like if he did. Here's the thing, right? If he did hate lesbians, his wife left him for another woman, and it's like, okay, well then it would be appropriate. I mean, well, not appropriate, but it'd be like understandable if he did.
Yeah,
but he doesn't. He's fine.
Yeah,
he's making the best of a bad situation, and they rub it in his face.
Yeah,
he doesn't like his ex-wife's new partner. Nor does she like him. They have this odd relationship. I think eventually they reconcile. My friends. Which is anything to go by.
It's one of these wonderful things called character growth and change.
Yeah, it's almost like what writing is about with characters. Isn't it?
I mean, like Ross. Obviously, Ross is flawed. I mean, here's the thing, right? You look at them. Ross is like the saintliest of all of them. When you think about Phoebe, who's like a hypocrite,
massively
hippy dippy, annoying, bit of a twat. Monica is hoeing around, breaking up couples. Joey is the same. Like Rachel's complete airhead. And this is the start. And Chandler is like a sarky tit. They do all sort of grow and change as they go. I mean, it's not like...
It was on for a long time.
It was on for
decades.
10 years.
10 seasons,
Yeah. So it's almost like... And I mean, the different time... I don't know why people reject the argument that this thing was released at a different time. Just like the early 90s when we weren't so worried about this kind of shit.
LGBTQ stuff wasn't talked about much. You know, you just come out of the 80s when
it was there, but
it wasn't like it is what it is now, where it's a massive talking point for a lot of times. A lot of people's how positive things are, which is obviously great, but it wasn't thought like that back then. It was still not really seen as a. You didn't talk about it much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it wasn't as sexy in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know,
true.
It wasn't as sexy back then.
Yeah.
And they were that community weren't as powerful as
No.
they are now. They can get shit shut down quick.
Yeah.
Right. So it's for good and for ill.
Yeah. That again, that's a whole
different topic entirely. But on this, like the I mean, if the point of Remembrance Day is to glorify war, we've got the wrong symbol for it.
Yeah.
First of all, because the poppy, it grew on battlefields.
On the battlefields of
Flanders.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Where hundreds of thousands died. And like World War One is, I mean, we both did history, Carl.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
So we know that World War One was one of the most pointless conflicts.
It was
ever.
The easy way to describe it is it was Europe having a dick swinging contest.
Exactly. Yeah. It was
basically for 50 years building up to it, there was going to be a war. It was just what was going to be the trigger point. Everyone wanted it to an extent, wanted it anyway. And when you look at the history of the war itself as well, it's kind of the last vestiges of like imperial colonialism. The way people fought it, it was still very much the mentality
Cavalry.
was very much at the start was still very cavalry focused,
gentlemanly.
Yeah, everyone assumed you would line up in an open field and a couple of thousand yards from each other and take pot shots and see what happens. But the reality was that the technology had improved to a point where you're talking you've got a bullet that can now travel 2,000 yards pretty comfortably and still kill a man, which you didn't really have back in before that. So
it was a meat grinder.
It was the Somme is a perfect example of that. The British lost 60,000 on the first day of the conflict. Because we just charged over open ground into machine gun fire. Because that was the gentlemanly thing to do, basically. That was what was expected of us.
And you're not dying for anything in particular. It's not like not like in World War II where you've got this clearly defined enemy. And he wants this clearly defined enemy that wants to conquer Europe and do horrible things to people for bullshit reasons.
The old I can't remember the whole poem of the old lie, isn't it? It's Dulce decorum est pro patria mori. It is a good and noble thing to die for one's country. Is the lie that I can't remember the name of the full end of the poem. I think it might be called that, but it was one of the poems that came out of World War One that was written by, I believe, one of the Tommies in the trenches. That was one of the last line. It's Dulce decorum est pro patria mori. It is it's a great lie. It's a good and noble thing to die for one's country. Because for centuries before that was the ideal. That you were seen as a noble person, you were willing to fight and die for your country. And it's still something that hangs around now, especially in the US with patriotism.
Sure, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being patriotic, absolutely not. But I think part of the thing with this, and it sort of ties back into this idea of it as well, is glorifying war, is people are starting to use patriotism to justify a lot of dubious stuff.
Sure, sure.
You know, you're seeing it over here back in Europe with the rise of nationalism again, which is something that, again, as someone who did history, has an interest in history, to think that in less than a century, we've gone back to a way of thinking that gave rise to communism, Hitlerism, and Mussolinism. 3 varying forms of fascism.
Did you say fascism?
Yeah,
I don't
fascism
know if Hitlerism and Mussolinism are a thing.
I think it's because the types of fascism, some people see them differently because they are, when you actually look at them, very disparate.
Yeah.
You have one style, but generally speaking, you have nationalism, which essentially, not always, but can give rise to fascism, like fascist ideas.
It's just shit that's unchecked, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything that's left unchecked gets a bit fucking janky.
Yeah.
You know? If we keep being patriotic and thinking that this bit, this spit of land and these predefined borders that have come from before us means that we're the best gosh darn people in the world.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. The British are the best gosh darn people in the world. But left unchecked, that idea starts to sit with people and spins and spins and spins and spins, and then we get silly things happening.
Yeah, sure. It's a slippery slope to think if we are better for whatever, and then we are just better because we are this. Once you start drawing those arbitrary definitions between people, you are always going to start causing problems.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why Remembrance Day is starting to get sort of viewed in such a negative light. Because of that, because of like patriotism is now being seen in a negative light because it's getting tied with more sort of.
So the funny thing is, there's
issues.
I don't know if you two have seen this. There's a story going around, as always. They always do on fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
Of apparently the LGBTQ plus community are demanding rainbow poppies.
Okay.
It's bollocks. They are not
at
all. But people have put together images of so-called rainbow poppies, going, "Oh, it's disgraceful. They shouldn't be allowed to demand this. They didn't fight and die in the war." Firstly, you don't fucking.
I mean,
know.
they might have.
Exactly. The truth
is,
you don't know.
illegal.
It was illegal.
If they wanted to, then they wouldn't have been able to.
Because
if our laws that said you can't be,
if they were
can't be doing that.
If they were open, they were openly gay. They were either in prison or were not allowed to fight. The reality is you will never know if and however many fought. But there are a few cases where we do know of gay people that were involved in the war effort. Alan Turing,
the guy who basically single-handedly, along with his crew, broke the Enigma code, shortening the war.
Yeah, the current thinking is his actions and those of the Bletchley Park shortened the war by about 2 years. That's millions of lives saved.
So nutty.
That, if you think of what the war was 6 years.
6 years, 39, 45.
Yeah, and it was. They think the total loss of life was what, 45 to 60 million, depending on civilian casualties as well.
Yeah,
that's England. Yeah, that's the entire population of our country at this point. Maybe a little bit less now, actually, but still, that's most of the English population got in a 6-year war. If that war had lasted 2 more years, you could probably extrapolate maybe another 10 million on top of that. So then that would be more than the total population of England at this point had been wiped out in the war.
Even if that story was true, and the LGBTQ plus community were demanding these poppies, why would that make a blind bit of difference?
And
I mean, if they were to all be rainbow, that would I wouldn't understand that. But if you want to sort of just put your two things together.
I mean, you co-opting a symbol. You co-opting an important symbol.
But how much does that impact people's lives?
It's not so well. Here's the thing: it's impacting culture. It's impacting history, and it's impacting that kind of thing. If you want to wear a poppy and have like the rainbow flag badge or whatever together, that's not a problem. Maybe I don't know, man. I feel weird about that.
What if I told you they were already weird about that? They were already variants of the poppy, though.
I know there's a white poppy.
There's also
which is bullshit.
There's also
do not buy a fucking white poppy.
Also white poppy. I've not heard that before.
So a white poppy. This is my sort of understanding of it. I've not looked this up for a while.
Hang on.
Look up the white poppy. The white poppy was like a scam.
Right. Okay.
You keep going. I'll find it.
White poppy.
Remembrance Sunday. White poppies.
Right. What was the white poppy?
What does the white poppy stand for? There are 3. Right. Hang on. Sharing.
Screen share.
There are 3 elements to the meaning of the white poppies. They represent remembrance for all victims of war, a commitment to peace, and a challenge to attempts to glamorize or celebrate war.
And there it is.
Where can I get white poppies? Alternate remembrance ceremonies. White poppies and their message of peace feature prominently in the National Alternative Remembrance Sunday.
Right. So this is all. So the money here, the money for these things doesn't go
PPU. This is the Peace Pledge Union.
So a private company.
Right. It goes to them. It doesn't go to
victims of
to veterans. Because that's what what the poppy money does.
Yeah,
it goes to veterans and it goes to to like efforts, because like this is the thing, man. People forget veterans, and it's like, and it sucks that people forget them.
Do you remember when we did in history?
I'm looking at pub landlords now, guys. Easy.
Calm down now. Do you remember when we went for history in year 11?
Hang on. The site that we were just on, they invented them in 1934.
So that would have been
through the it was so before World War II,
post
World
War
War I.
Okay.
So it
began people in favour of ending all war. So all right.
What, everyone apart from Big War?
Apart from that known multinational corporation called Big War. Yeah.
You know,
I think the thing is that there's always that reactionary side to it, to any kind of conflict, isn't there? That why can't we give peace a chance? It's great in theory. It doesn't ever work in practice because there's too many things in the world that just prevent that from happening.
They're called people.
It's called ideology as well.
People, ideology.
There's a million things. You're never going to make everyone happy all the time, and if you are, you're doing something wrong. Because then you're lying to people, basically. I think at that point.
So what's the point of the poppy then? What's the point of it?
For me personally, it's as a marker of remembrance for those who died in the wars,
Absolutely.
and that's irrespective of what side you fought for. It's for anyone who died in the war because. I think when it comes to the Second World War, a lot of people tend to just lump in that all Germans who fought must therefore have believed in the Nazi Party. No, I would disagree.
No. There were two branches of the military.
Yeah, you had the SS, which were your Nazi soldiers, and then you had the German army, which was the SA. You want to say it was called?
The Wehrmacht.
Wehrmacht, that was the one. Sorry.
Yeah.
They were just citizen soldiers. They were just men and women. They would say men. They were men in the army. That was it.
And then they had to fight.
And they had to fight. The SS were a separate thing. They were specifically soldiers.
But they had to fight for Hitler.
Yeah.
The
Wehrmacht were the German army.
Well, they were fighting for. Well, yeah, they were fighting for Hitler.
They would have existed. The Wehrmacht existed before Hitler's rise because the Wehrmacht was the name of the Republic after World War I. So they would have been the standing German army that then Hitler.
So he co-opted them when he, took power.
When Hitler had his rise to power, he had the SS and the SA. The SS were like the private forces for him. The SA were the generic ones, the ones who did basically his thugs. During the Night of Long Knives, that's when was it Night of Long Knives or the Crystal Night? Long Knives, I think it was.
No, I don't remember these things.
History, put it up lower. I think it was the Night of Long Knives. Someone's probably correct me anyway if I'm wrong. But the Night of Long Knives was basically Hitler decided that the guy in charge of the SA, which was Ernst Röhm, was too powerful, and basically had him imprisoned and the SA outlawed and rolled up all into the SS, essentially, and put it under Goering. So it's a complicated thing. The Nazi Party is a very weird thing of deliberately playing different people off against each other, so only the strong survive to improve the strength of the party, and overall, it's partly to blame for why they are lost the Second World War towards the end, because all their good generals being shitty generals, and Hitler was just notoriously shitty himself at keeping decisions.
Hitler sucked.
Yeah, so
he's kind of a moron.
Yeah, he beyond the evilness he did, he's also an idiot. And just a guy who thought he had much grandiose ideas of himself than he can ever live up to.
Yeah, they could have had jet fighters in World War II.
And he turned it down.
He's a moron.
Again, the principle of the Sturmgewehr 44, arguably the first assault rifle in the world, they turned that down multiple times. There were variants being built from like 1942, and it was only in 1944 they officially adopted it as a battlefield weapon. If they adopted it earlier...
I mean, one of the battlefield weapons that we tried, man. So me and Matt went shooting in Budapest about 5 years ago.
Yeah,
6.
My 25th birthday.
Yeah,
so 5 years ago.
This is the first time you did it.
The first time I went there, met Matt out while he was teaching out there, and we went shooting. At this time, you were fancying around with a war novel, weren't you? So you wanted to try
script,
that was your Pavel's house, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you wanted to try all of the old weapons, the authentic weapons, and they had captured everything from you had your Stas 12 shotgun, and I tried a sniper rifle.
That was
also had loads of World War I and World War II weapons. Now one of the rifles that the Nazis had. It was the submachine gun. MP40.
The MP40 is a laser.
Shot 9mm rounds. Stock. It was like shooting a laser gun.
Yeah.
No recoil, no nothing. And I was like, how the fuck did they lose? You know? I mean, partly because no one wanted to shoot each other.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, true.
That's the thing.
There's lots of accounts of soldiers actively aiming high to avoid hurting people.
It's 2/3.
Something like that.
2/3 of soldiers do that. Yeah. I mean, for me, like the poppy is like it's this reminder that war is horrible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just like look at all of these people, particularly in World War I context. All of these people died, and they died for basically nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't change any borders in Europe.
I mean, it shrunk.
It shrunk Germany.
I mean, it fucked Germany, which led to World War II.
Yeah.
It shrunk Hungary. I mean, Hungary got
it split Austria and Hungary apart.
Yeah, and eliminated a bunch of Hungarian territory.
Gave them to Czech Republic and all sorts. And
Romania. And,
Albert and
all sorts of other. So
yeah, I mean,
it was just like all it basically did was like stir up bad feeling and led to the rise of Hitler.
Yep.
So war is a horrible, horrible thing.
It is.
And people die, and they die for nothing sometimes. I mean, it's just, and it's a mistake that you shouldn't repeat.
So we're basically in agreement. Remembrance Day is war is bad. Lots of people died who shouldn't really have to, because someone's told them that they need to do this.
Yeah.
Go to war. It's going to be loads of, like, you're not going to have like loads of like fucking rich, educated people going to war. You're going to have people that just think, you know what, I can do something good with my life at the moment. You know, I can do something for my country. Because there's loads of people from like working class housing that you know you're on the front lines, and then you've got a bit of money, you get promoted
You're an
to
officer,
blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, everyone died in the war.
Right? Yeah, in World War One, like it was, because it used to be very, very glamorous to want to go to. It was like the sort of people used to like look forward to wars because it was like there's some shit going down, and we can go and have an adventure.
But normally it was against people that were hugely outclassed by us.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Usually the defining thing was, we have a rifle, you have a spear.
Don't.
Yeah. A lot of the time it was like that. But, so there were people like, particularly in World War One, there were like whole townships of guys who were like the Hull Pals.
The town brigades,
Yeah, town brigades, and they would all go together to fight, and they would all.
I want to say after 1915, I want to say that was obviously part of draft. I think I'm not 100%, but I think it was a draft.
They were drafted.
There was conscriptions as well, but again, the same thing. It took them from the same town.
But why was it so glamorous? That's what I'm saying.
It's because you're getting out of your life. It's an adventure.
Yeah.
I also think part of it.
But you don't think
who has made this narrative?
I think
it's not just going to be part of the collective consciousness where war is good.
Well,
it's going to have come from somewhere.
I think
it would have been pre-World War One.
Oh, massively. I do think when you look at English,
like War and Glory.
I mean, with I think when you look at the English, part of it for us is the idea of Arthurian legend. Is part of it for us. Not that it doesn't necessarily glorify the idea of war, but it. For those of you, I mean to say, for those who don't know, but Arthurian legend is pretty much one of the most famous mythologies.
King Arthur, sword in stone,
Knights of the Round Table, blah blah blah. Magical woman throws a blade at him.
Lancelot fucks his wife or something.
Yep, basically. But the thing is,
that's the only one that I come up with.
There
was some fucking in there.
Somewhere it was. But yeah, essentially, I think a lot in the British culture comes from that, because the idea for us is that he died but hasn't completely disappeared from our culture. The idea, the ending of the story,
he lives on.
He lives in Avignon for the day of most day. What's the word, friends? But essentially, it's the day England needs him most. The true king shall return. It's a common thread through a lot of different cultures.
Fucking all stories ever.
But basically, yeah, the Irish have it.
Didn't they have like something called the Bible?
Yeah, pretty much. The thing is, when you look at religion, a lot of it co-opts older stuff anyway. I mean, the Irish have it with Finn McCool and the Fianna. When you play the horn, apparently the Fianna will rise from the cave they're living in and will fight for Ireland. There's always these. The mythology tends to deviate with the same things.
I'm fucking outclassing this conversation, ladies and gentlemen. I've got 2 history books, and I know about when people were shagging. I'm also a guy who's hugely outclassed it.
Also a guy who's got quite a few mythology textbooks downstairs because he's into that kind of stuff too.
Because he's a nerd. That's why.
Damn straight nerd. But anyway,
the whiskey's kicking in.
It is. But anyway, I think you look at a lot of cultures, especially European cultures, the most important heroes in them, sort of pre-industrial revolution, were warriors.
Yeah.
Germans had Siegfried. The French had Charlemagne and his paladins. We had King Arthur. I'm not too au fait with the Spanish, but again, the Spanish didn't really fight in the First World War. But when you look at European history, for most of it, we've been at war. In some form or another. And if we weren't fighting each other, we were fighting somebody else. Muslims throughout the Middle Ages, because
when they invaded.
You had the Reconquista, you had us going to the Holy Land.
It's that thing called the Crusades, wasn't it?
Oh yes. No one covered themselves in glory in that.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 things that happened with World War II that rose. One of them was media, and the other is
the advent
technology.
Of proper propaganda.
Proper propaganda, and also like the technology,
which is definitely kicking in.
So we we knew then. We were like getting reports that 60,000 men had died in one day because they were trying to march across a battlefield into machine gun fire. Like, we knew that because it was being reported on and getting reported back.
Right. I want to go on to the second question.
Which was
why do people get offended? Get so mad about it. Right. So what do you think? So we've sort of hit two things. Well, we've hit one, and I'm going to introduce the second one that's sort of a theme through our shows.
Yes.
It's not PR.
Okay.
Right. So the first thing that I'm seeing is like, we don't want to fucking remember. Like, it's too much blood. We've done, like, if you travel around the world, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to go somewhere and they're going to tell you that England did something shitty here, right? You go fucking anywhere in the world, right? I lived in a place called Playa for like 2-3 months in New Zealand, and that's where they signed the Waitangi Treaty, which basically we just went, hey, Maori chiefs, we're going to basically steal all your land, but we're going to do it in ways that you don't understand, because you don't really understand English yet. But the Maori chiefs did something really, really cool with that. Look into the Waitangi Treaty, really good. And they changed one word, and now they're starting to get back all their land, which is really cool. But you go there, and you see that we just fucking took all their land. You go here, we took all their land. Like
I've been in places where that didn't happen. I've kind of lucked out by being English. I've been Hungary, Italy.
I've been to lots of places where we've done shitty things, and but also I'd like to know about that. I don't want to just put my fingers in my ear and go la 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 la. We didn't do anything, and I also don't want to be revisionist about it. It's happened. Yeah. Right. Good or for bad. For one, I didn't do it.
Yes.
You know,
I think
we need to remember this,
well.
that we didn't do anything. So that's maybe one thing. That people don't want to fucking remember it, because we're, shits around the world because of the whole fucking colonial things like that.
Which certainly were. Yep.
Another glorifies war. I think it's a bit of a weak one.
I think it's a bog stand when you hear from a lot of people who just dislike it. But
I mean, if it would glorify war,
the thing that we've talked about a lot is just fucking moany people.
Yes.
People that just like to moan.
Yeah.
So I don't like it.
I have a thought on what that is, and I've said this to my wife and some other people I know as well. Right now, at this time in history, we are living in the age of outrage.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Partly it's things like social media and the anonymity the internet gives you. If you don't like something, it's easier now to get on a soapbox and protest to the world why you hate something. And you can't really get all that much blowback, because if you're doing it online, you can just ignore whatever you want to don't want to do.
That is also amplified.
Yeah, exactly. You get a lot of sound boxing.
And it's at every level.
Yeah. Everything, any news story you see about anything now that's even slightly political, there will be a fight in the comments because someone agrees with it and someone doesn't, and it will devolve further and further into much worse stuff.
So recently, I listened to a podcast, I think I've mentioned this before, called Every Frame a Pause.
Yeah.
And they basically roast videos, basically.
Okay.
They're like movie people. And they recently looked at a video by a woman talking about Joker, and like reviewing it badly, but her review was like terrible. And they were like laughing about it and laughing at her terrible points.
Okay.
Twitter exploded out there. She's fairly popular, this person.
So it was her fans.
Her fans exploded
At the podcast.
Right. And they've been like hammering there's 3 main guys. They've been just hammering them for days on end.
Just for vitriol because they disliked her.
Yeah, because they have the temerity to question this.
Oh, fucking nice word.
Terrible review that this person
say it again.
Temerity.
There it is.
You have the temerity, EFAP, to go after
EFAP.
Every Frame a Pause.
Oh, I thought that was like one of their fucking names, and it was like about wanking.
They're just getting that whole thing of
it's just whiskey. Yeah. I get saucy on whiskey.
Get saucy on anything.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they had the gumption and the temerity to
to
go after this a popular woman's opinion.
But it's tribalism, isn't it? Though that's the thing.
It's exactly tribalism.
And to live vicariously through someone else because you're fucking boring yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we looking up what temerity means?
We're just getting that after.
Did I use it correctly?
Let's find
Excessive confidence or boldness, audacity.
I would say so.
They had the audacity.
Yep, I'd say that's fair.
Fantastic.
Great use.
Temerity. Love that word. I'm going to leave that up for a second. So
word of the day.
Drink in the word temerity.
I'll drink in the whiskey.
It's got 2 T's in it as well. It's a lovely word to say.
But that's a punchy word.
Yeah, very, very punchy. Yeah.
So they did this, and there was outrage.
Yeah, there was. But it's like faux outrage. It's just people who.
It always is, though.
Yeah, it's always faux outrage. It's never genuine because the reality is they don't really care all that much.
You are not an activist if you sit behind a computer doing just shouting at people. Go out there and do something about it. I mean, not necessarily against every frame pause. Don't go out and do something about that because your priorities are probably in the wrong. And you might end up in prison.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But they might make your own video responding to their. I mean, they podcast for fucking ever, so it might be
a long
one. But like, just go like, just watch it and make counterpoints.
Do you remember when you used to be able to do video responses on YouTube?
People still do.
No, but where it used to come up at the top of it.
Yes.
You used to have a video, and you used to be able to make a video response, and maybe like the top one would be there, and then you would have the comments.
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
Yeah,
it
was a very brief thing as well because, again, like they are now, people are abusing that sort of facility to just go on rant-filled attacks for no justifiable reasons. But, but talking about the video essays, there are some great guys on YouTube who do this sort of stuff, who do make counterpoint arguments to people. One of the ones that you've been to me is Mauler.
Who is part of every frame of war.
Yeah, and he can obviously get a bit expletive laden and a bit ranty, but when you actually break down his arguments, there's always facts behind it. If he disagrees with it, he will tell you why he disagrees with it. It's not that necessarily you're wrong, it's just that from his perspective, he doesn't see it that way. He did a 12-part series breaking down someone's review of Dark Souls 2 and why Dark Souls 2 was better than Dark Souls 1 because you are playing Dark Souls 2 wrong, is essentially the argument. You are not learning how to play. 12 videos breaking every point of it down bit by bit.
Bit excessive, but okay.
But then if you watch the whole series,
he's a long.
Yeah, he's a long.
Is he now? Hey.
But if you listen to the whole thing, I've watched the whole series because I'm a big Dark Souls fan, and when you listen to it, because I thought when I first heard the original video, I'm like, actually, I can kind of see some of the points he's making. Some of the art he says that. Yeah, when you look at the footage he's providing in some of it, the guy clearly isn't playing it very intelligent because he is doing the stuff to it. But then when Mauler goes into this, actually, if you look at the whole footage around that and not where it's been cut conveniently, suddenly you see that he's not playing it the way you've been told he's playing. He's actually playing it correctly, does something to check for something or to get a better perspective, and then continues to do something a different way. And it makes you realise just how easy, especially in this day and age with video editing and a bit of the trim and cut what you don't want to see, you can manipulate even the most boring, genuine footage because something that's going to get someone annoyed.
Well, this is part of the reason why, and this has happened to this podcast with regard to this sort of recent drama. It's happened to them before. This is why their format's great because they will. And it's also why their stuff is so long. They will watch the whole thing. They'll pause through it. They'll make points, counterpoints. They may go off on tangents. They'll go through the whole thing.
Bit by bit.
So they respond to the whole thing. So it's maybe they'll make a bad point or two. It's mostly like watertight.
How long are their videos?
Fucking long.
This
one was like 11.
This may be their downfall that it might not be as successful as everything else out there with the the quick clickbait and things like that. If it's going to be long, you're going to have a hard time holding people's attention.
I think
regardless of how good they're going to do it.
I mean, I think the thing is like they found their niche, and their niche is like a very, very long.
I wouldn't tell them to stop doing it. If you've got a core audience of people, you keep sell to those people because they enjoy your shit. But then you have people that really enjoy their shit for this woman, whoever that woman was. And she's found her core audience, which seems to be quite infuriated and quite moany.
I think that's something you see. I find a lot of communities on YouTube or Instagram where if someone hits a certain size of following, then invariably that following feels like it's their job to defend them. Which, no, it's not. You are not that person's keeper. You are not that person's agent or PR firm or anything. And I think some of these bigger, absolutely huge people, think like something like massive stars on Instagram. They've got PR teams. They've got marketing teams. They don't need you to defend them because they have teams that do that. If they generally fuck up, their PR team will get involved and will correct that fuck up. If they just make a point and someone doesn't agree with that,
or damage control.
Exactly, depending how much they can do. If someone on the internet doesn't agree with them, the PR team won't care. because it's not worth their time to respond to. Because guess what? It's going to make no impact on the person's fan base because they're not going to listen to negative comments about them because that's not what they want to do.
It's a bubble. People are in their bubbles.
Yeah.
And what's the word? Cognitive? Is it cognitive dissonance?
Oh yeah. When you think something and think something else, and your brain goes a bit weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, hang on. Big tangent. Right, wait. What were we talking about?
We were talking about something, then we had a whiskey break.
Remembrance Sunday.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Well, there's cognitive dissonance then within the two groups of people that maybe aren't willing to listen to each other or just...
Right, no. So cognitive dissonance is where you have two thoughts within yourself.
Yep.
It's not between you and me. It's two things between, like, so if you are... okay, let's try and work this out. Right, so if you're in a fun house, right, you know, and you walk into a fun house and all of the furniture is on the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay.
You're standing correctly and you're standing upright. You're not upside down. But why is everything on the ceiling?
Yeah, your brain.
Okay.
That's a cognitive dissonance that we have. There's two bits of information that we have which don't connect, and we're like,
you get stuck because your brain goes, well, I know I'm on the ground because this is the ground, but everything is on there.
I don't feel like I'm upside down.
That should be the ground.
I don't feel like I'm upside down, but everything's upside down. What's going on?
Okay, so could there be some cognitive dissonance within this debate? Remembrance.
I honestly, part of it is just the idea of soundboarding. People these days want to hear what they want to hear, so they'll naturally attract people who agree with them. If someone disagrees with it's glorifying war and they disagree with that, they'll look for people who are having conversation as to why that argument is wrong.
And honestly,
rather than go out and engage someone who believes that and have that discussion with them to try and come to an understanding from them. It's like, that person's wrong, so I don't care. I'm going to go talk to people who I know, who I think are right, or who I know are right. It's part of the problem.
And honestly, you're going to drop that argument. It's a terrible argument.
It's a weak argument.
Like, if it were glorifying war, there would be...
It won't symbol. Why
would we not just be wearing little guns?
Yeah. Or just like wearing like a skull and crossbones, but like a bullet hole.
Yeah.
You know?
What's that on your shirt? It's a dead Hitler. Okay, great.
No,
War did that. War's great.
Yeah.
No, it's these flowers that grew on a battlefield where thousands of men died.
I mean, do you think it's just as easy as just like we're just supposed to be woke now?
See, I have this.
From where we're coming from, the people that are upset about it, like, I've got to be fucking. How can I be woke about this? Fuck, it's a flower. Okay,
I think
war.
there's
we'll just go for the war. Go for the war.
I think there's an element of that.
Yeah,
because there was a thing about why aren't we recognising the women that died?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we are,
and it's like we are.
Surely we are.
The whole point.
We're remembering the people that died.
The poppy is not a gender-specific thing. It is we are remembering those who died. We're not. No one quantifies those as the men that died. It's those that died.
I mean, that's a really fucking presumptive question, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what people do is they assume that it's the people that died on the battlefield.
Yeah. Well, I don't. So
no, I don't either.
You're wrong.
Like I said,
you're wrong, stupid woke person.
For me, it is for those that died during the war. If you fought, you fought.
Yeah.
If you're a woman in service and doing something else and still died as a result of it, you died in the war. You're part of that list.
I mean, even if you were like a normal person and you died in the Blitz.
Yep, you're still part. You
died in a war.
You died as a result of what happened.
War is fucking horrible. We are remembering the people that had to, live and terribly that had to die through that.
Millions of civilians died in the Second World War. You had the Holocaust that was an attempt to wipe out entire religious people.
Yeah,
I'm not excluding them from the death toll. They are very much in the death toll.
Yeah.
I'm remembering who died. I am remembering those that died at Belsen, at Auschwitz, at all the concentration camps. Because it's fucking horrific what happened to them.
Auschwitz is fucking horrible.
I've not been. I've heard some stories about how echoing it is.
I cried twice. I was just there on my own.
Yeah.
It's
solemnly weeping.
It's weird to say, but I want to go.
No, I know what you mean. I do.
Everyone should go.
Yeah.
100%. I solemnly wept on my own. It was a sad day. So everyone should fucking go.
So here's the thing. I'm thinking about going to Krakow at some point soon because I'm turning 30 soon and I'd like to go away somewhere. But I'm thinking for my 30th birthday, do I want to go to Auschwitz?
I mean, maybe not on the day.
Not on the day. It's like
it's an idea. I mean, I don't know if you know this.
I think it'd be some fucking perspective, but
so my dad was in the army.
Mm.
He was a Royal Engineer.
Mm-hmm.
He was stationed in Germany for, I want to say 10 years.
Mm.
And my brother and sister were both born in a British military hospital.
Right.
So I'm the only one of the 3 children that was born physically in England. But he was stationed in, it was near Hanover originally. He went to Auschwitz while he was stationed there. Mm. And some of the stories he told me, one of the things that stuck with me is, to give you an idea of how tragic this is, you have obviously the mounds where the bodies were buried. He said, even the crows and birds did not land on those mounds. It's as if they know what this is.
Mm.
We should never, and this just personally, if you're a Holocaust denier, you're a fucking idiot.
Mm.
There is enough evidence there to prove what happened. If you want to say
it's almost irrefutable.
It's not almost, it is. There is evidence. The Germans kept meticulous records of people who were sent to concentration camps. We know people died.
We liberated the camps.
We liberated the fucking camps, and soldiers saw the conditions of people who were alive.
I don't know why you would make the death camps as they are, the concentration camps as they are, if it didn't happen. So you go in there, and it's fucking stark anyway. It's just like all fucking grey, horrible, and you know something bad has happened. I mean, obviously, even if it didn't happen, and we just had this cultural consciousness about Auschwitz is a bad place because they killed, hundreds of thousands, millions of Jews there. You go in there, and there's like all different, I want to say exhibits for want of a better word.
Yeah.
And there's like mounds of hair. There's like
hair that was
mounds of hair which are like 8 feet tall and go down like 40 feet down.
And
it's just all hair. All hair of the they shaved
every hair off your head.
All of the the trinkets they took off them, like pocket mirrors and like all metal and sort of precious materials, like pocket watches, pocket mirrors, combs, watches, just mounds of them. Yeah. And there was this one thing that I saw. It was in a tiny. It was a doll, and it was broken. Like the face was broken, and all I can think is like a child's dropped this, and it's just this ever-going trudge into those trains, and someone's broken it. I broke down. It was so. And I don't see why you do that. Why would you put so much effort into trying to make that a thing if it didn't?
Well, yeah.
Go there, and work it out for yourself.
Well, here's the other thing about going to Auschwitz, and this is part of the reason. Like, I want to go there, but part of me doesn't want to go there because I know it will make me really fucking angry. Because not only the sort of injustice of it, but I know there's going to be twats there who are taking pictures with their phones, even though you're not supposed to.
I didn't see it.
Really?
I didn't see it when I went.
All right. Good, because
there is hope for humanity.
Someone's phones get broken if you're trying to fucking sneak a picture.
Oh God! If someone
of a mountain of hair.
No, if someone tries to take a selfie with one of the mounds, that would be my breaking point. It's like if you did that, you don't understand where the fuck you are and what happened here.
Like just like a sad face, like a comical sad face.
Yeah. Bottom lip sticking out, all sorts.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, in that case.
It was just very, very, very somber.
Yeah, I think that's
fine. I don't even think anyone talked
about it. So I have
people walking around together, they were just in silence.
I have this image of being able to hear a pin drop in that place.
Yeah, it was very, I mean, it was a very cold day. It was almost December at that point. So it was very cold, very grey. It was just very somber.
Yeah. So going back to some points as well, which I forgot to make earlier. When we were in year 11, we did a trip with school to Belgium.
I didn't.
No, you weren't. You were, unfortunately, did history, but it was to do with World War One.
Yes.
We went to Ypres. We went to one of the old battlefield camps, which one in particular. We went to one of the sites of the largest mine detonation in the war. The crater it left is
big,
terrifying. It's the only word I can think of. It's probably 50 feet deep. and about the same across.
Whoa.
And you got to think that men had to dig a tunnel to plant this bomb to try and blow up a trench to do this. You were underneath the enemy, and you knew that was going to lead to a lot of dead people, all in a hope to break the line. But the bizarre thought of that is, well, yeah, you've broken the line, but you can't exploit that because you can't run into a 50-foot deep hole and then take the other side of it.
So you've got to go around.
You've got to go round the hole. Great, they'll just fortify the sides of the hole, then, won't they?
Yeah.
But when we went to, I think it was in Ypres, I want to say, I can't remember if it was definitely that or it was another town. We were there. I think it was something they did every Sunday. I want to say they had almost like a Remembrance Sunday on the bridge, and they would have the local army cadets march up on the bridge, raise a flag, and you'd have 2 minutes silence every Sunday. And I remember being there, and the silence you could hear was the fact that it was deafening. It spoke the silence spoke volumes to me in terms of this happened, regardless of what you believe and as to what caused it. That's not relevant at that point in time. It's the sacrifice of men's lives and women's lives and animal lives and anything that was used to fight in that war is deserving of being remembered.
One of the things I remember about that trip is we went to like a bunch of. One of the things we did a lot of is going to like war cemeteries for Allied soldiers.
And like, Germans. We went to a German one as well.
Well, I'll come to that. Like we went to loads of Allied ones, and there were like big monuments, and there were like lists and names. There were headstones. And like it was very, very fancy, very well maintained. And the German one we went to was just this very, very dingy, very small.
Yeah, it wasn't very big at all. It was maybe a couple 100 feet across, if that.
And basically because it was like a mass grave.
The central part of it was a mass grave, wasn't it?
Yeah, they just like dumped
bodies in there. It was like a couple, 1,000, I want to say, something stupid. It was a pretty significantly high number.
It was a lot.
And a lot of them were unnamed as well. I'm pretty sure I remember the plaque being like, Ein Soldat und Namen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're like, that many people without a name.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, this is, I think, this is World War I, I'm pretty sure. And it's like, that's part of the extent to which, the inhumanity of war. It's like they were the enemy, so they don't deserve any respect. They don't deserve any of that. They don't deserve a name. We're just going to pile them up in this pit and bury them. And we dare not forget that.
No.
We dare not forget Auschwitz. We dare not forget Hitler. We dare not forget the things we do. When it seems like...
If it's an uncomfortable truth.
Yeah. We dare not forget what we're capable of.
Just history in general, just any gruesome, terrible history. Don't forget it.
No.
Because we're capable of that, and we're capable of doing it again.
We need to be taught those. We need to be taught those lessons. And if the day you start arguing one of, if not the darkest chapter in human history up to this point, is being argued as to whether or not one of the most heinous acts ever committed by a government took place. Well, what the fuck is wrong with us as a species?
Here's the thing, right? There are people that deny that, but they're not many.
No, thankfully.
It's more like the narrative surrounding things like communism worries the shit out of me, because you think about how many people, you think about the tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people that have died as a result of that. Not in war, as a result of this political ideology that would not allow, and it's just becoming, it's creeping, man. You can feel it creeping.
Well, look at some people within, not again, this is not all of them by any stretch of the imagination, but there are certain people within the Labour Party, like supporters of the Labour Party. Man, you listen to some of the rhetoric they come out with. It's like pushing.
It's like some of the activists.
Yeah, some of the hardcore momentum sort of types.
Or do you think? Hang on. Do you think it's more socialism than communism?
One thing leads to
another.
Other.
Well, if everything's left unchecked, one thing leads to another anyway.
This is true.
You know?
I mean, I've seen people on Facebook timelines, posting to try and prove that socialism is the perfect solution to all the ails you. Posting pick screenshots of newspapers from post-war England, where obviously a Labour government got in after the war and built put the NHS in place and built a lot of houses and did all this sort of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which is great, absolutely fantastic.
Sure.
And the press portrayed them as Marxists and socialists and this sort of stuff. Like, that's great, but the reason they can do this is we have natural checks and balances in the UK. You have an opposition party. You have opposition to the government. You might be the most powerful party, but if you don't hold enough seats to pass everything on your own, then you can lose votes. The NHS was always going to pass when it was first brought up because it was a way to help those that fought to protect the goddamn country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet, people now...
I mean, and you see the consequences of maybe there not being that with the amount of war wounded and the amount of people who were injured in the Blitz.
Yeah.
So absolutely. But it's like, I mean, I went to China with it. I mean, China. I mean, oh man, if you go to China, China has concentration camps. People,
Uyghurs.
Like, I mean, you go there, and Mao is everywhere.
Yeah.
The face of Mao is everywhere.
Give it time to be Xi Jinping with the new one as well.
And the worst person to go there with is a communist. I went there with a bunch of people, like 200 people. One of them was like a hardcore communist. He would say things like, "We need communism and we need a dictatorship." He's an absolute nutcase, this guy. And he was like,
"Do we know him?"
No, we don't. No,
okay.
no, you don't know him.
No, thank God for that.
And this is a guy who, like, he's the only person I have properly seen, like, use the N-word derogatively toward a black guy.
Okay.
With another black guy around.
Right.
And this guy was like an ex-Marine. It's lucky that he was like a cool ex-Marine. Otherwise,
he would have just beaten the guy.
It would have gone fucking horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And he it was weird. It was weird because he said it, and it was like he like apologized straight after. He was like, "Oh, sorry, I said that," and it's like, well, you said it. And this is a dude who, I mean, like, the ignorance coming from this motherfucker was unreal.
Is communism and ignorance linked?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, ignorance is just a general thing for this
I'm still a big believer in socialism.
I have no problem.
I'm speaking to this guy specifically.
Yeah.
He was very ignorant.
I'm just hearing from you guys that socialism is bad.
So, okay.
And I want to see where we are.
Maybe I need to
say it's imperfect.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work the way people think it does.
I think I should probably clarify that as well. I'm not saying socialism in itself is inherently bad, because it's not. It does a lot of good things.
None of them are inherently bad.
No political... Well, I'll say no political.
Fascism is inherently bad.
Most political theory is not a bad idea, in theory. Obviously, fascism and communism, which are the extremes, are not. They're always going to be wrong. But conservatism, liberalism...
Communism
in principle. Theory. The idea behind it, you can see the merit of it. Once you put it in practice,
once you plug humans into it, it just goes wrong.
The problem is, the idea is everyone should be the same, but someone has to be in charge of that, which means they cannot be the same. They are in charge. As soon as you get someone at the top of a program like that, that person holds all the power. That's screw the system.
What you basically get, what you end up with, what you've ended up with historically is a power class and an underclass.
It's aristocracy.
So everyone's equal in poverty, except for those that aren't equal. Except for your betters. Your betters are not equal.
It's serfdom under a new name. Is what that can become.
It's what it can become. It's what it has become historically.
Yeah, historically it's become serfdom.
Now this is what we're talking about with
communism.
Communism,
yes,
not socialism.
No, I don't. I'm not saying they're the same thing. They come
also
from the
socialism.
same grain.
Also socialism, like hard socialism.
Again, I'm talking more the one.
Because this is what I want to make the distinction between, because we're talking about socialism. That socialism is bad and always is communism.
Like hard. So
it doesn't. In
its extreme,
because we have democratic socialist countries in Europe.
But if you ask them if they were socialists, they would say no, we're not. I mean, if you talk about, they're not. They would.
Let's find out what Denmark is.
If you asked someone from Denmark if they were socialist, they would say no.
You guys keep talking. Tell me more about why socialism is bad.
The thing with socialism is it's again, like a lot of this. It's great in theory.
I'll tell you what. If it were libertarian, I'd be with it. But it leans to the authoritarian. I don't like that. It's not the socialism so much as it is the authoritarian. But I'm not down.
Which I'm behind with you, like 100%. Like I fuck, I'm just against authority. Anyone tells me to do something, I just go, fuck off. You know?
It's the up-down that I don't like. Left-right is kind of bullshit. Up-down is what I worry about.
Yeah, I think I have no problem with socialism. I have no problem with conservatism or liberalism or anything like that. It's when you start towing the lines beyond that. It's too easy for a good idea to become a bad idea.
Okay, so
right. So I need to work out what socialism is. I'm out of my depth here, people. I've drunk too much whiskey. Right. So
sharing the screen.
Socialism. Socialism.
I'm fully behind.
So this is socialism.
I just want to be clear. I'm fully behind socialism.
If it means everyone gets seals, I'm happy.
Socialism.
Socialism. That's yours, isn't it? Socialism.
That's me. Right. So, political and economic theory of social organisation, which advocates the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. Policy or practice based on the political and economic theory of socialism in Marxist theory. This is where we go too far.
Yep.
A transitional social step between the overthrow of capitalism and the realisation of communism. Right. So
that's the problem.
Okay. So hang on. Let's look at the first bit. So, a political and economic theory of social organisation which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole.
Which is essentially, if you look at communism, is state ownership.
So, in
that's
theory,
hard to do.
Right.
So, in theory, that sort of works, right? In the theory behind that.
That in
theory
itself
works.
The theory behind that
in itself, that doesn't sound like it works.
And in here's the thing. On a national level, no way.
Smaller decentralized means, definitely.
I mean, in smaller, like communism would work in a small group. This is why I'm an advocate for, if you're a communist, if you believe in communism,
buy an island and take a few of your friends.
Go set up a commune somewhere.
Yeah.
You don't even have to buy an island, just set up a commune in your house.
Be nice to own an island.
It would be, but these people don't believe in money.
Yeah, very true.
No, they believe in equal distribution of money.
Yeah.
So everyone has to own the island together.
Yeah. Well, everyone would.
Yeah. Again, and then there again becomes a problem with communism. The guy who originally bought the island, or the woman, or whoever bought the island, they have to then share that with everybody else. Would they do it?
I feel like in this instance they would all pitch in to buy the island. If they're serious about it.
Yeah.
All of the people who are going to live there put in equal amounts of money, and they all buy the island together.
Yeah.
Or buy the land together. They all contribute to the building of the commune. They all do whatever. Right?
Yeah.
They share stuff equally.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. I'm all for that. That's fine. You do that. You do that. You show capitalism how it's done in your 12 people.
Yeah. I'm just in a very weird place politically, I feel.
Dude,
I think
myself, knowing what I am.
I also think
up down, me and you, Matt, we know what we're about.
I know exactly what I am.
Just fucking anarchy. No, I'm kidding. just wait a minute. Just more. Well, we've said it time and time again. Personal responsibility.
Yes.
Let me deal with my shit. Yeah. Like, if I want to take heroin, don't take heroin. Not necessarily. Don't take heroin. It's a silly drug to take.
Yeah.
But if I want to smoke, if I want to drink, if I want to do anything to me, fine. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want to yourself. If you're not going to do anything to anyone else with that, it's cool. Yeah. If you're going to start doing it to other people and enforcing that on someone, that's bad.
Will that not be libertarianism?
To an
extent. Up down.
Yeah, for the up down, I'm more towards libertarian than authoritarian. I'm largely elected. There's probably some conservative stuff that I'd take on and be like, yeah, that's sweet. I like, if I'm going to earn money, I'm going to like to earn money.
Yeah.
I would also, though, I'd always pay my taxes for people that were less fortunate for me, so we could pay into the NHS and all things like that. Even if I had private healthcare,
I'd still pay it.
Dentistry, all of that kind of nonsense, I'd still pay my taxes for that.
Sure.
I say without knowing that. I guess I would.
Yeah,
I would hope that I wouldn't become greedy and say I don't want to pay taxes.
It's easy to say at this point without having a lot of money, but I would like to believe I'm the kind of person that would, if I ever became fabulously wealthy, I would still be paying fucking taxes. Because great, I'm not fabulously wealthy. There are plenty of people who are not.
You'd attract a lot of accountants who'd be like, you can pay less if you pay me.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say who I currently work for because that's silly. But I work in an environment with banking and accounting.
He's in the finance industry, ladies and gentlemen. Not one of the ones who ruined it, though.
To be fair, I'm more in the tech industry these days. But I used to be in the finance industry, and there are plenty of people in that industry who are arseholes, for the lack of a better term, who set up companies purely to hide their money.
Sure.
But I would like to believe that I have been brought up by my parents and by the way they've taught me social responsibility, that if I ever came into millions and upon millions of pounds, I'd go, right, how much am I paying tax? Oh, it's that much. Well, fair enough.
I like that, social responsibility. We talk about a lot about personal responsibility, but I think that's a lot of where my shit comes from as well. It's social responsibility.
Sure. And I think that's the big sticking point for lots of people.
This is why. Where does that line? What's the boundary? Is there a boundary?
That's the issue people have with socialism, generally speaking, is how much social responsibility is the individual responsible for.
And that's also the issue we're running into now with outrage.
Yes.
Is people taking on social responsibility
for others.
Yeah. If someone isn't getting offended, then someone will get offended on their behalf. And that becomes a big problem too.
Exactly. Yeah.
And somehow we've made it full circle back
to personal responsibility.
We did that on purpose, ladies and gentlemen.
We did.
We just naturally
grabbed a weird
twist of fate.
I'm just going to throw in that maybe it's the addition to a third person who's not been plotted before. Is keeping you going full circle.
It could be.
He's keeping
wheel spinning.
That's absolutely not what was happening. I did not intend that, but I will claim what I did.
I mean, I know exactly where I am politically, and that is, I'm fucking bored of all of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it all annoys me.
Yeah,
basically.
So I've got a confession. Yeah. I went away largely to get rid of Brexit. I wanted Brexit to happen.
No, I get that.
And I just come back. Leave, stay. I just wanted it to be happening.
Leave, sweet summer child.
I've just done. And I come back and go, we've left, have we? What's going on? Are we done yet?
So here's probably what's going to happen with Brexit.
We don't talk about it here.
No, we don't talk about Brexit.
We don't talk about it here.
I was just going to say
that is the one rule here. We don't talk about it.
I apologise. I will not go any further.
You see what happens when we bring it up?
I'm so sorry.
I choke on whiskey.
I mean, there's worse ways to go. Moving on from that subject.
Yeah.
Christ. For me personally, I think I'm in a weird place politically speaking. Obviously, yourself, you went travelling. You've been abroad quite a bit.
Yeah.
I obviously haven't. I've stayed in England the entire time.
You guys talked for a while.
Do you want a water?
Matt's had a coughing fit. We had to pause the thing. What were you going on about?
Sorry, as I was about to say, politically for me, I'm a bit more confused. And I think this is part of the problem I have with politics in the UK as it is currently. Everything is very much left or right.
100%.
And it's all authoritarian.
Yep. It's either the Conservatives are evil because they do this, or it's Labour are evil because they do this. The reality is, for me personally, I am definitely a centrist. I have ideas that would come from the left and the fucking right. Because I think in reality, in real terms, that's the easiest way to gut it. It's the easiest way to do it. Because if you try and lean super conservative, you're going to piss off people.
Yeah, well, Carl, you know who else was a centrist? Hitler.
He was, wasn't he?
Technically. You know what I reckon? I reckon that's that political compass test doing some fuckery and going like,
so here's the thing.
The test itself doing some fuckery.
Yeah,
the test people become self-aware.
Yes, it has.
I'm going to make Hitler a centrist.
Or the people who made it. Look at the people who made it.
So if we're going to go back to the idea, I heard an interesting definition of fascism recently. I can't remember where it was. So it might not be the correct definition, it's just one I've heard defined recently. Fascism is not a ultimately conservative or socialist ideal. No. Fascism is simply a reactionary force to leaning too far the other way. It's an authoritarian. It's an authoritarian variant of anything else.
That's incredibly fascinating.
I
like that.
So
makes sense.
When you look at Hitler, when Hitler rose to power, he rose to power by teaming with conservatives.
Yeah.
They were not inherently Nazis.
No.
But they were seeing...
he was a socialist.
But he wasn't though. He was a
national socialist.
He was a political opportunist. What he saw...
Well, he had both, right?
Yeah.
Nationalism and socialism.
Because what he saw was the left.
Yeah.
The left or the right. The social
shitty job.
Well, not a shitty job. They were garnering a lot of hate from the public.
Yeah.
Because what they were seen to be doing was not benefiting anyone.
Right.
Remember, this
also,
is the middle of a recession.
There are also a lot of communists like marching in the streets, starting fights.
The problem is you were in the middle of
Sound familiar?
You're in the middle of a recession. People were out of work. You had communists who were brain. We should all have the same thing, pissing more people off. The Conservatives saw Hitler as someone that people were rallying to. I can't remember the guy's name. There was a guy who essentially tried to play his puppet master, who tried to manipulate Hitler to make him the leader so he could rule the country through Hitler.
Right.
Problem was, Hitler was fucking smarter than him.
He's too charismatic.
He realised he was being used by this dude.
And we've established that Hitler's kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
In terms of war, at least in war.
Militarily speaking, as a general, he's shit because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But as an orator and someone who understands people, he was a very dangerous man. Someone thought they were playing him as a puppet master because I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. Someone will probably know it somewhere. He was the one that suggested to Hindenburg that they make Hitler chancellor,
right?
Because they could control him because he was a nobody.
Yeah,
he was a political novice. As soon as that happened, as soon as they made him chancellor, I've got what he got what he wanted. He got the highest position in the land. Right, let's make communism legal. And then conveniently the Reichstag is burned, and they blame a communist. Cool, we can now swing this conservatively. He starts getting more favour with conservatives. Fascism in itself is a reaction to the current political ideal. You're seeing it now in the UK, where you're getting
so interesting.
You're seeing we've had Tory government in the UK for the last decade, and austerity for most at the same time.
Yeah.
People are suffering because of it. Poverty is getting worse. The NHS has had problems with it. Teaching had problems with it. Everything was getting cut. So now, what do we see? A charismatic right-wing leader in Jeremy Corbyn. Left-wing leader. Corbyn. I apologise. I always get them to. I always go conservative and socialist rather than left and right. Yeah, I always go conservative and socialist. Easy to define. But you're getting a Jeremy Corbyn who is a hardline socialist who is picking up a lot of traction with young people who don't remember the hardline social policies of previous Labour governments and how they were not good for the working classes because you were working less hours, getting paid less. But they hear that and they think, well, if I'm working less but getting paid the same, that means I'm going to have more disposable income and more free time. They are swinging against the conservative ideals because that sounds more appealing to them. The problem is they sound great. Putting them into practice, you're going to piss off a lot of business owners. They're going, great, I've got to pay my workforce 5 days, but I'm working for 4. Now, Microsoft did do something recently where they tried this, and yes, there was an increase in productivity in a specific office. It's not the whole company, it's one office.
Well, it's also going to destroy a lot of small business.
Yeah, this is the thing. And the UK at the moment is being run on small business. Most people now in the UK, we are in a development stage enough in the world that a lot of single mothers or people who are living at home can set up a business. They can set up startups using Facebook to sell things through and grow their businesses. If they start employing people and they have to pay them a normal wage but have them work less hours, that's going to eat into their pocket. It's going to collapse business potentially. Not definitely. I'm not an economist. I don't know that. But it has the potential to collapse a small business because they're paying their workforce for a full 5 days work, only working 32 hours. They've got to cover an overhead of 7 hours per person loss.
Right.
So the thing is, I think you'll always see it in politics where there will be a period where one side is more empowered than the other. The next thing you'll see is someone charismatic. You saw it with the Conservatives under David Cameron. Someone who...
I wouldn't call him charismatic.
No, but he portrays...
I think it's
more
interesting
charismatic than the other guy.
That Jeremy Corbyn is a charismatic one because we've got Boris Johnson.
He's like
the problem.
He's like a reaction to Corbyn, I think.
Because this guy, if we all remember, did a zip line with fucking flags through the 2012 Olympics.
Here's the thing.
He is hugely charismatic. He's also a massive fucking idiot. Right?
Here's the thing.
How long did he last for in the Foreign Secretary? Like 10 days?
Something like that.
Not long.
Something stupid, right?
That I feel like he was put there as a joke.
No, that was an attempt by Theresa May to try and quell the Brexit side of her party.
Basically.
Look, I'm giving the guy you love a position of power.
Well, think about him as Mayor of London.
Great Mayor of London.
Really? Because he bought a bunch of water cannons for riots and then sold them at a massive loss.
He got in twice.
I mean,
the thing is,
water cannons, yes.
He's bendy buses cost them a lot, didn't do much. The thing with Johnson is he knows how to portray himself.
Yeah.
It's all an act. He knows that people
Is he doing a better or worse job than Sadiq Khan?
About middling, about the same.
Fucking hell.
Personally,
because under Sadiq Khan, London has a higher murder rate than New York, and we don't have guns.
There are cultural things within that are not just a mayoral thing to deal with. That's the problem with that. There is an inherent distrust in metropolitan London by culture, by a big part of it, which is not helping.
And toward the police as well.
That's sort of the growing thing. That's what I meant to say. So there's a growing distrust towards the police, which means if a murder happens, what you invariably find is you'll get more murders as a result of it, because it's revenge killing rather than dealing with, rather than using the criminal justice system, which yes, is flawed.
Yeah,
but it makes it better than just going out and killing one another.
I feel like this tangent is taken for so far away from the point.
I think this is the downside to adding meat to it.
It's the downside to adding whiskey.
This is also true. It's been very interesting.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. Yeah.
So back to the original point, the second part of your comment, I believe which was so wait. Tell you what, get that question back up again. Go for it again.
So we're talking about.
I think we've covered all three questions.
I think we've done it, and now we've just gone on to something.
Now we're just talking about whatever the fuck we want.
I think to be fair, in our long rambling conversation, we covered the 3 points.
I think in that, we'll call it there.
Yeah.
We'll continue our conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we'll cut it here. Remembrance Sunday, to remember everyone from the war, regardless if you're a man, woman, child,
and on what side,
white, black, wherever you were from, however you died. That's to remember the people that died largely for at least one of the wars, fucking pointlessly.
The
reason that people are getting upset about it. Some people like to moan. Some people are scared of war. Some people don't want to fucking see it. Some people just need to be fucking woke. And the opposite is just people, I guess, being the opposite of all of those things.
Maybe being of the opposite of all those things loudly.
It's the again.
Everyone has a soapbox.
It's a counterpoint. If someone's saying one thing, someone has to argue the alternative.
I think a lot.
Not fascist though.
Not fascist.
So many people want to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many people can be heard.
And so many people can and haven't had a chance to before.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I imagine, feel very, lonely and like they don't have a lot of outreach. So fuck it. Let's
make a loud argument.
Let's just fucking find my hero, and I will fight their battle to the end. And I can be this loud voice on the internet, and people can come back at me, and then I can feel like I'm fucking doing something in my life. Maybe. Also, people just might be pissed off with people being woke, like me. I just don't comment on their comments.
I just leave. Leave whatever platform I'm on if I see something like that.
Yeah. I have unfriended people and unfollowed people who I've known for years because I've noticed recently they've been doing a load of stuff. I'm like, you know what? I don't need that in my life. Bye bye. It's not worth it.
We're going to continue this conversation in a sec because we'll keep going.
Yeah, we will. We'll carry on.
Yeah. Final points. That's what it was. Be kind to each other. War's bad,
and accept that
history. Read history. That repeats itself.
Yeah.
Don't forget about your veterans either.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the people who are injured now who often get forgotten.
Yeah. And big thanks to Carl as well for coming on.
Yes,
being a fucking fantastic history buff for this episode. That was not planned until we got on the train today to come and see you, Carl.
Yeah.
So
and also a fantastic whiskey buff.
Fantastic whiskey buff as well.
When I'm not choking on it, it's great.
Yeah. So I'd say happy Remembrance Day, but just
have a thoughtful Remembrance Day.
Yeah, just take a moment and remember what you want, and we could all be in The Sims. So there we are.
Yep.
Later. Love you. Bye.
War Rumbers.